You guys ready?
Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Dumbass Film Students. I am not a film student, but I'm honored to be here with my good friend Rudy Wilson and my friend that I love to hate, DA. How you doing, buddy?
I felt like you had to find the words to say.
I don't think me and DA have ever agreed on anything when it comes to any movie.
No, we have agreed. We agreed just last week, didn't we?
That's true. Well, let's see.
But most of the time, if y'all agree, it's because everybody agreed. But like, if there's But if there's ever going to be a distinction, 9 times out of 10, y'all are going to be on opposite sides.
It's like sometimes me and Rudy are the only ones that share an opinion, but it's never me and DA.
Right.
Probably because you guys hung out like personally, like in real life. You know, we've only had this virtual experience.
That could be true.
I hung out with you personally, DA, and I disagree with you a lot as well.
Right. That was my next point.
Maybe.
So now let me introduce our very special guest, my good friend, one of my favorite people. He does comedy with me in Miami, and the reason that I brought him on this podcast is because he is one of the smartest film breakdown people I have ever spoken to in my life. One of my great friends. That's serious. That's a true thing. One of my good friends, Jay Jimenez.
Yay! Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me, Rudy.
Gracias for having me.
Loving the hat, as always.
Yes, compliment the hair
Mr.
well.
DA, nice to meet you.
Sorry, I was about to sneeze. Nice meeting you as well. So apparently you're like a phenomenal film critic or something? Is that what
I just like movies. I've always I used to do photography while I was in college, and so when I started studying photography, started really getting to the cinematic aspect, the whole Stanley Kubrick shots, and I can really came to I've always appreciated film, but there's a filmmaker in me somewhere.
So Jay just very much loves the art of film, and it comes through when you talk to him. And me and Jay had I would say we talked about the movie RoboCop for 45 minutes one time.
Oh,
and Jay just really loves the movie, and that's why I wanted to bring him on the podcast.
Out of curiosity, quick sharp left turn. Lonnie, is that your red gown on the door? Just out of curiosity.
It is. Okay. How did you know?
It seemed like that's you.
I wore it last night to my full moon ceremony.
Gotcha. And by full moon, everybody had their ass out.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would have to ask. Have you seen the movie Beats?
Which one?
Beats.
No, he hasn't seen it.
Beats?
Yeah, because he likes good movies.
He said Beats.
What movie is this again? I'm sorry. Can you spell it for me?
Beats or maybe Z.
Beats.
Whatever. Yeah.
I have not.
Go watch it and then come back on the show. We'll talk all about it, okay?
All right.
Right now, it's 2-1.
Hey.
It's 2v1 right now.
Okay, next slide. Jay, so in reference to when it comes down to you saying there's a filmmaker in you. I mean, because of course me and Lonnie know you, on a personal level between the three of us, just meeting DA. So I do, me and you have had conversations in reference to film, which is why I was, making a joke about, trying to get you on here so much. But so I know kind of your background, but I've never really known what the goal was. So when you say there's a filmmaker in you, what if you could have a filmmaking career? Let's just take comedy away from all of our lives for just this conversation. If you could have a filmmaking career, what would that look like?
Well, I think it's I'm going to use this as an opportunity to plug the project that I got going on right now, which is it's on Instagram. It's live on Tinder, right here. It's on Instagram. It's called The Acid Diaries.
Hold on, wait a minute. Did you just force DA to edit live on Tinder?
I'm sorry, I usually do that. DA, you don't have to edit that. You can edit that shit out.
This man randomly threw his Instagram name in the middle. It's like live on Tinder right here. So now if you don't put it right there, DA, it's going to be there for no reason.
All right. Now, before I get derailed, I'm going to get derailed, Rudy. All right?
Go for it. I'm sorry.
I have a project which is, in many senses, it is like, it's a documentary. And it started as being something that I was doing while I was going like I was doing this treatment of microdosing, and what I'm gonna keep because I have liked doing the project so much, I'm gonna keep it going. I'm not gonna be taking acid every time I take it, every time I do one, but it's what
that's
I'm
how you always
doing
know
here,
somebody got a drug problem. They got to explain it.
Oh Jesus!
I'm not gonna be.
I won't do it every week.
But this show is so successful.
Just once a week, a full fucking tap.
The two people watching, I have to stick it out for them. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So like I'm doing a lot of like things that have been inspired by of course psychedelics, Rob Zombie movies. Are you guys fans of any Rob Zombie fans here?
I know what's the name of his movie, House of a Thousand Corpses.
Have you seen that movie? Oh, it's one of my favorites. It's gory as fuck. It's like, I'm not gonna go too deep into it. It's an old school fucking slasher, right? It's a tribute, a love letter to like the fans of that genre.
I think Rob Zombie is a very, very great name for like a horror movie maker type of, like that's pretty dope. Rob
I think
Zombie.
he was a musician first, right, Jay?
He was a musician first. He was with White Zombie, and with the band White Zombie, and then he did Rob Zombie, and then after that, he had always been like on the artistic spectrum. He had not been like just a musician or anything.
Right.
I'm sorry. Are you answering the question to where you want to with your film career?
Yeah, like right now, I think right now it's where it looks like. I think it's right now because I'm starting to experiment with it.
Right.
So where I am, even if it's just with a cell phone, and then just take a few shots here and there, and then edit it and re-edit it and rearrange it. You can tell a story, and I feel like that's what I'm doing right now.
So
Jay, I know that like whenever we talk, whatever, usually the movie genre and the era that comes up for you is usually 80s slasher films and like 80s, I don't even know the word for it. I guess sci-fi. I know you love you love RoboCop. You obviously picked the Terminator. Is that your favorite because that's what you grew up on as a child?
Wow. Maybe there's an element of nostalgia there because when I watched those movies, I was like really little, and those like particularly RoboCop, they would play like unedited, right? In all its almost NC-17 glory.
Yes.
They would play the fucking scenes where Alex Murphy's getting like
blown apart
to pieces. They would play that at 7:00. Like at 7 p.m. in Puerto Rico, without editing it. Try to watch that shit,
Right.
I think I think the reason why I went with one of the reasons why I went with Terminator is because, and I guess when we go into the specifics of why I chose that movie, we're gonna get in there. But yes, I think what a lot of these guys were doing. It seemed like almost retro-futuristic, if you can, like a grim vision of the future. But now that you look at it, it looks obsolete. You know what I mean? And you can see what's happening in RoboCop, but it still looks like it was shot in the 80s.
Sure. So can I just go? I'm sorry, real quick, DA. So can I just go back for a second because I don't think my question ever got answered. So what? Let me be more specific, okay?
So I'm like,
if you could pick out like, just say if somebody who already exists now, choose a director or filmmaker, actor, whoever. Choose somebody who already exists now who best represents the type of career you would enjoy having if you had a career in film. So like
camera.
I would want to be right. I want to be like this person or that person, because X, Y, B, Z.
Okay, Robert Rodriguez is probably a good example.
I was gonna say Eli Roth for you, Jay.
Because
I was gonna say Tyler Perry. No, I'm just kidding.
Not just horror, but like horror that has an ode to the 80s slasher films while also having a very unique identity.
Yeah.
I'm thinking way more Spike Lee, Brooklyn.
I'll say I really like the way that Robert Rodriguez directs movies, and I'm talking about not so much in the final product, but in the sense that he does it all himself. You know what I mean? He's independent from the studio, and he has he knows what he's good at shooting, and that's what he does.
Right.
Like he's not gonna fucking.
So Jay, list some Robert Rodriguez movies for the audience in case they don't know.
Okay,
El Mariachi as well.
El Mariachi, that was done in either the early 90s, late 80s.
I think it was late 80s.
Yeah, and it's what started him. It's what gathered the attention from Hollywood. This kid made a $7,000 movie.
Yeah.
And the fucking movie made a killing. Well, relative,
Oh, and then it started a whole franchise after that.
Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Those are two of his movies. I love those three movies. I love those two movies. They're really bad, but I love them.
People hated Once Upon a Time in Mexico, but I enjoy it. I like that movie.
Shit. It's total shit, but it's so good.
Yeah.
It's incredible,
Johnny Depp, he kills that movie. I loved it.
Johnny Depp took that movie. Johnny Depp with his fake hand and just going around wearing...
With his eyes, with no eyes.
Yeah. Oh, that was so badass.
Yeah.
That was so badass. What else? This guy's directed Spy Kids, Machete Kills.
So outside of his catalog, like what could you say is the one thing that is the reason why you chose him? Like what is like the main thing about him or his career is the reason why you chose him specifically?
He does the movies that he wants to make.
Right. I'm saying, but is it because people, every artist wants the opportunity to express themselves freely. So are you saying like you want to be able to do that because of taking the independent route? Or are you saying you want to be connected to a studio but still be able to do what he's doing?
I would say it more because of the able to finance your own movies and
the independent route. Gotcha.
Be more independent. That's why. If I was visually speaking, if I was gonna choose a director that I really like, this I don't know how you guys feel about Royal Tenenbaums. The director from that movie,
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson. I love his films.
So good.
Visually speaking, they're just fantastic and they're pleasing to the eye. Yeah.
Hey Jay, I have to ask, are you playing the Villainess in the back?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. I thought it looked familiar.
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
So yeah, that's
you and Diego be competing for backgrounds today, huh? Because Diego be having he puts up. You'll see. Go ahead.
Okay, so where was I?
It doesn't matter. So no, I'm just kidding. But so I guess long story short, so you ultimately want to be a successful independent filmmaker, especially for the ability to have the creativity. Would you ever be open to like directing somebody else's work, like somebody else wrote the screenplay and you direct it, or are you just want to just stay in your own lane and just write your stuff, direct your stuff, and just
I think I'm at least at this stage I'm open to collaboration, because that's the way that one would learn. Right. I'm part of a comedy community, and I've participated with you, Rudy, and I've told Lonnie, any projects that need shooting, that need editing.
Right.
So yeah, I'm all about learning, because I can't finance my own film right now. What I'm doing right now, it's probably like a good like example of what I can do at the moment, which is, again, the project that I have. But at this stage, I would be more than open to collaborating with other people. You know?
And you say you're working on a documentary, correct?
Sir?
You say you're working on a documentary?
It's a short, it's a docu-series that's they're like, you know, anywhere from 3 to 6 minutes. They're on my Instagram. Check them out. Once again, live on Tinder.
You talking about the Acid Diaries?
Yeah, the Acid Diaries. It is an experiment film, you know.
Right. No, I got you. No doubt.
So,
well, man, we're glad to have you, bro. You know, no matter how you got here, even though you stood me up, you know what I'm saying? But you're here.
Times.
You know what I'm saying? Many times.
Thank you for your invitation, Lonnie.
Thanks for being here. It's nice to know that I have more influence over you than Rudy. That feels really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Hurt now. Or maybe I'm just a manipulative fuck that I knew that it would hurt him if I answered your call. Maybe I'm just that much of a psycho. I don't know.
I believe that much more. All right, so we got 3 movies today that we want to discuss. Shout out to all the filmmakers and everybody involved in the film, whoever cast and crew, financiers, family and friends of these people. We're not here to shit on your projects. You know, we want to congratulate them. You got them done. They made it to the big screen. You put up the money. You made your money, and Our opinions are just our opinions. They're irrelevant. All right. So let's get into them. Okay. We had 3 very, very different movies from each other.
All very long.
Say it again.
I said they were all about 2 hours.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All of them were definitely long. Let's start with I guess this is my pick, not guess, but it was my pick. Menace II Society. Directed by the Hughes brothers, Alan and Albert Hughes, starring Lorenz Tate. I guess it's Tyrone Turner, Jada Pinkett Smith, host of others. So the way we do it here, Jay, and I forgot to explain this earlier. Basically, so we're going to do like a quick 1, 2, 3, and you give basically a thumbs up or thumbs down, and that just basically says, as an overall perspective, did you enjoy the movie or did you not? Now. You can have a thumbs up, but still have things that you didn't like. You can have a thumbs down, but have things that you did like. But that is just your overall vote of yes or no, and then we'll get into the particulars. And feel free to debate and stand your ground on whatever it is that you choose. Because here on this podcast, we want all the smoke. Okay, we're here to argue. You feel me? So. Menace II Society. We're gonna give our votes and then we'll get into it. I have a lot to say. All right, here we go. All right. On the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Darren, not Darren. Did you change because we all chose it, or did you really mean that?
I'm like in the middle.
Okay. No. I'm fine with you choosing down. I just didn't know if you only did that just to because we all chose it or whatever. I chose this movie. I've seen it prior to now, obviously. So, but I did see a lot more, just even watching it now with my little filmmaker eye, if you will. But I'll go last. So I'll let y'all get into it. So, DA, I guess let's start with you since it's more of us who liked it. What was your?
Just honestly, I just jumping off the back. I will say some positive things about it. I thought it was a very intriguing story. I just felt like the ending, I felt like the ending, and on top of the ending, the characters were very, I felt like the main character was very characterized.
Yes.
And the world around him as well. But that could be because, to me at least, it felt like he was trying to be something he wasn't. But the end, I felt like, you know, they set it up to where if you listen to the opening, they said, he said, I did. Next thing you know, I knew my whole summer would change after the robbery because his friend shot the person. So he's like, next thing you know, I was gonna be an accessory to murder. So I was expecting at the end for him to either at least still live. You know, I kind of felt like it was just the ending was just very sad. It's very sad, taken away from what could have been a very
DA. There is so many more problems than the fucking ending for this movie. I just want to there's first of all, let's go back to the main character, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, and I don't even want to go to the character. I want to go to the person, the actor.
He was very
Tyron Turner. No. Listen to me. He should have never been casted. He was and I've seen this movie before, but I didn't.
Right.
I don't think I ever realized how awful of an acting. This is the only time he was ever good on screen was when he had drool coming out of his mouth, or whether he was sick or shot. Like he did awesome jobs of suffering, dying, being shot. That was it. Anything of him just being alive and regular. He was awful, and it's so disappointing because the characters in this movie, like if you think about the story, this movie should have been way more legendary. This movie, the storyline of this should have been in more comparison. Hey, Lauren, the storyline in this movie should have been way more. It holds heavy enough weight where this movie could have been compared to like a Friday. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the execution of it was not there especially across the board. Like some people did, you know, a better job than others. But for him to be the main character and even to have a name like, you know, Kane or whatever, like you think about that, like think about he could be like a low-key, like a hood hero. You know what I'm saying? Like this is because his storyline was good. Like, you know, because basically to your point, DA, as far as him getting killed at the end, I think they chose that because they're showing like you waited too long to leave. Like you should like
I got it.
No, but just hold on one second. All movie we're telling you like leave, but you didn't. So that's why you got a shot at the end.
But they didn't start telling him to leave until like the end of the middle of the movie.
No.
Did you guys notice? Did you guys feel that like he descended into being like a gangster way too fast?
Well, see,
that's what I'm saying. He was a kid, and then he was selling dope, and he was selling.
But wasn't it supposed to be just like a couple of weeks? This movie took place over.
No. See, but the thing about it is, by the time he was that adult age, he was supposed to have already been him, because that's why they were that. Because for one, I think they were very brilliant for plugging Samuel L. Jackson in here because they knew they couldn't afford him an entire movie. So that hey, listen, we can do this in one day of shooting. You do your little scenes, whatever like that. And that would draw more attention to the movie, but that also helped tell the story. So like when they tell the beginning story, he's basically showing like everything that I've experienced growing up has caused me to now be who I am as the adult. You feel what I'm saying? It's not.
But didn't you notice he was like kind of like soft spoken at the beginning of the movie, and then within
was a bad actor, Lonnie. That's my whole point.
Okay. It's funny, man. I watched this movie and I'm like, why is Lorenz Tate? Why is he never in other movies? Like that's how I grew up my whole life. Right. And then I watched this movie and then I'm like, oh, right, because right.
Like I'm telling you, the story was there. The characters, if you think about the old dog character, the Kane character, the dude who was in jail or whatever, like he's sticking around taking care of the baby mom and the kid, whatever. Like these different situations, the characters are fine. Right. It was the execution of the people they chose that fucked this movie up. Is my whole point.
Me personally, I only feel like it was the main character. Everyone else, I didn't.
But he was in every scene. He got shot 4-5 times. Like he was but he was never the person. And that's why Lonnie is having that struggle because we never really believed that he was anything other than this soft kid. Like his background and the story was supposed to portray that he was supposed to be that nigga. Like he supposed to be walking around the hood whatever. But his performance never gave us that. Like you would have thought that O-Dog, Lorenz Tate, would have been the result of his background as opposed to the other way around. Because Kane was because Kane wasn't right. Because Kane wasn't
and then
that
we go
impressive.
from one scene where he's like sheepish, and then the next scene he's not the next scene, but like then within a couple moments, basically he's like sticking up people for their car rims, and like he's like they don't show. You know, I'm down for like a character arc where he's like he's soft here, and then at the end he's this guy, but they don't really fill in the dots. You know, they don't really show us
because they move it real fast. They use a lot of the narration to move forward. Because what you was just saying, DA, they said it when.
Wait, what are you talking about?
As far as what Lonnie was just saying in reference to him now sticking up people, you were saying that it was after
prison. He went to prison first, and then he got out. Remember, he got out, and that I felt like that was a good enough change to where he'd been to prison. He had to fend for himself in prison, so he got a little tougher.
Jay, you got to jump in here. We don't really wait for people to talk. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just saw that maybe that sort of acting can come across as very like two-dimensional. I think it's the more I see movies that are from the 90s, the more I see that, you know. So maybe it's just that back then they weren't as.
No, Jay. Don't even say that. Don't give them no kind of sympathy, empathy.
No.
He was just a bad actor.
They could have used somebody else in that movie to play him. There's a lot of other actors who could have done a better job. I'm not even gonna think about what I mean. Just imagine. I don't know what he was doing at the time. I don't know if he was even famous at the time. But just imagine if the dude, I don't know his real name, but the guy who played Stacy on The Wood, if he was Kane.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that would be more believable than this dude. This dude was you never really seen the arc because, like, one of the corniest things that he did, who was he talking to? Like, I don't know if he was talking to Jada Pinkett at the time, but, like, somebody said something about, like him getting shot or whatever it was, and he did like something like this to, like, his shoulder or whatever like that, to kind of, like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, I don't remember what the scene was, but when he did it, like, I don't know if the director told him to do that or he chose it, but I was just like,
why?
That wasn't even believable. Like, he literally, like, made that, like, they said something to insinuate the whole, like, him getting shot in the shoulder thing, and he literally was just like just, you know, like, and I'm just like, bro, that's not, if you're reading the scene, that's not necessary. Like, us as the audience, we already knew what they meant when they said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can trust it. Just stay in the moment with this person you're talking to. Don't be thinking about the camera like, oh, maybe I should do this to remind them of, you know what I'm saying? Like, that right there is almost like spoon feeding, and that spoon feeding acting can, like, I would much rather see something great and not necessarily understand it. You know, you may need like some type of director commentary than to get every single thing and your performance, you know, suffers as a result of it.
You know,
one thing I want to say is that the movie Don't Be a Menace absolutely ruined this movie for me. I couldn't watch this movie without thinking of every line from Don't Be a Menace. Right. It was just like, it was. And now, you know, when I watched this, you know, this was one of those movies I watched when I was like 13 and hadn't really watched it again. And then I watched it again and I'm like, oh, this is why Don't Be a Menace really, that was most of the movie of Don't Be a Menace.
Exactly. That's what I'm about to say. That's why they went in on him so hard. Because,
and I'm like, okay. You know, that's why it wasn't that much about Boys in the Hood and the other movies from that time, because this movie was just so, I don't know, man. It's a good, like what you guys said, it was a good story. I like the message of it, where it's like, you know, you had your chance to get out, and like, you know, here he is laying on his deathbed being like, I missed my chance, you know, which is a good message. You know, it's like, if you have an opportunity to get out, you got to take it. But yeah, the execution was just it was not great.
Another problem about this movie is the fact of not necessarily how he died, but who killed him. The person who killed him was apparently his baby mama's, or supposedly his
cousin. It was the girl, the girl who said he was pregnant.
And I'm just like, that's not at all what I thought that would. I thought if anything, the guy he robbed would or the guy.
No.
You know, I actually misremembered it. I thought it was the guy he pistol whipped at the party that shot him.
It is the cousin, the goofy light skinned bald head dude who he beat up or whatever.
No, I thought doesn't he stomp out the cousin in front when he comes up to his house?
Yeah. But I'm saying, but I'm saying, but
who killed somebody? I'm sorry.
It's the person who he stumped out because the girl who he started smashing, and then she called in the middle of the night, was like, "Yo, I'm pregnant," and he was like, "Man, miss me this whatever." It was her cousin, and he. But that's realistic.
Wasn't that a different guy from the guy at the party that was talking to Jada Pinkett Smith?
Yeah, you're talking about Chauncey. His name was Chauncey.
Oh no, that's another dude.
It's a different dude. I thought it was the guy that he pistol whips at the
yeah,
party.
No. It's the cousin, because if you think about it, most people who lose a fight, especially in front of people, I know people who have died even when I was in high school as a result of beating somebody up and then they came back and shot them. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for whatever reason, that is a retaliation thing. And granted, you would think that, he didn't have beef with this dude, like, all movie or whatever. But it was like all the stuff that you always kept escaping. You've been shot before. You know what I'm saying? Bless you. You've been shot before. You've escaped all these things. And then at the very end, this last little fight that you got into, because you still out here trying to be, Big Bad Kane or whatever, that's the one thing that take you out as you're leaving. Like, you're packing the car up. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like, me personally, I did not like that. I felt like someone else should have came to kill him. Something from his past should have actually came to bite him back.
But that's what I'm saying.
I actually like that message of that he's so out of control that you would expect that it would be something from his past. Exactly. But it was just something from yesterday or 2 days ago, which I think is pretty real, to be honest with you. I think like a lot of, like, I think Snow on the Bluff kind of touched on that a little bit, that like it can just be
what's
something
the name? Remember Lawless? Remember the slit throw in it? None of that killed him. The pneumonia or whatever it was the one thing that took him out. Yeah. It's the same thing. So like I said, I think it was a good choice. Like it makes sense to me. And I love the story so much. I mean, and these characters, like Menace II Society, like the different characters, even Old Dog or whatever. Do they get as much love as like the Smokies and Debos? No, but they're still talked about, and I think it's because people hang on to the fact of the character. But this movie could have been much more of a classic than it was if it was casted correctly, especially starting with the lead guy, because this was a wasted movie for a Jada Pinkett, a Lorenz Tate, Samuel L. Jackson, like all of them. Like this could have been like this, whatever success it had. I'm not saying it didn't have success. Whatever success it had, it could have had 10 times that if that lead man was the person that we believe that the character was, and then it just trickled down from there. But because
look at how well Samuel L. Jackson did with his scene. Like, you give somebody with real acting chops this movie, and they really excel. He stole that scene. Oh my God, it was so good.
I feel like this is one of the biggest problems about watching our older favorite movies, because we go back and rewatch them now that we're older and we have this whole new perspective, not only in life but in our maybe towards film, and we look at it and it's just like, damn, I don't remember it being this bad.
Right.
Some of them do hold up, though. Some of them are
some do.
Like Terminator, like the next movie that we're going to talk about. Like, I thought Terminator.
I disagree with that.
Gotcha. Well, I guess we can try. That wasn't the next one, but I guess we can go to Terminator.
No, we don't have to.
I know it's fine. I mean, it's been said at this point, so that's fine.
I'll say this, man, because I just watched this movie yesterday. Like I had known about it, and I'll say this: I had seen other movies that are I would say that are within the same genre. Lean on Me, for example. And I'm not saying that they're all the same movies, but they all had this tone that was, it can be uncomfortable, because for example, a movie like that, like what's the one that I just mentioned now in school?
Lean on Me. Lean on Me.
Lean on Me. Like, for example, that's a more preachy movie. But I had seen other movies that like Boys in the Hood is, and man, you feel like you're watching a fucking Jason movie, with how uncomfortable it is, because you're just seeing.
Yeah, but that's intentional. But when it comes down to like, I think,
and so when that happens, when it's well made, like you can have a bunch of factors that you can look back and say, well, oh, that would have went better if it would have been done this way. But at the time, then, like overall, they were able to, ¿cómo se llama? That's a plug, by the way.
That's a plug.
That's a plug. It's right for free. They were able to to present a setting of a story that ultimately, like for example, whenever you're having the fucking dope parties and the kid is walking around and shit, the music that they're playing and the lighting and the shots, everything is uncomfortable.
Actually,
and they were able to do that, and they created an experience, and people just, oh man, I remember that movie. It was an impact, and people remember it for that.
Speaking of that, speaking of what you mentioned, Jay, is of the lighting and everything, I actually think that was one of the great things about this movie.
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, they took a very artistic approach to it, and so some of the scenes you kind of did feel that the emotions that they were trying to give us through the lighting and whatnot. So I really did like that.
Yeah.
And I also did like the fact that you had that if you want to say circle, where at the beginning we see him as a child wandering through the party, and at the end,
right.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, and I actually wrote down his name. Shout out to Tiger Williams. He wrote the screenplay. That's what I'm saying. The story, the script, all that, like that was great. Because even what you're saying, that whole full circle. He came out, you know what I'm saying, got the beer, but the time when the little kid came out, he stopped him or whatever. But, and even I even give him credit. I think the opening scene of this movie was great. Like, that was a great way to set the tone of what we was getting ready to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just see them walking in the store, like they kind of minding their business, but we gonna show the difference. Like, yeah, Kane kind of more chill, but O-Dog, like, he just one of them I don't give a fuck people. You know what I'm saying? Shoot him, whatever, get the tape, showing it to people. You know what I'm saying? Because he think it's funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, that I could believe that person. You know what I'm saying? But I just think whoever the casting person was and responsible, they wet the bed on that one.
You know what? I have an alternate ending. Just in my opinion, an alternate ending would have been.
Niggas.
I know. Alternative ending would have been what would have been, because we saw the one who I guess if you want to say the good kid gets shot as well.
So, yeah. So, Assalamu alaikum.
His name was Sharif.
Sharif.
It would have been nice to only see him. Maybe it's sad to say, but to see him only die, and that really forces him to change. That forces what's his name, Kane, to change and say, all right, I'm going to make this decision to go. That would have been nice.
Yeah, but that would have been the same ending.
No, Rudy, that would have been nice.
That would have been the same ending as Boys in the Hood.
The same thing as what's that movie again? Boys in the Hood.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
He just he gets off the car, and then O-Dog kills the other guy. I don't know.
Yeah, and O-Dog dies as well. You know what I'm saying? I mean not O-Dog, but Doughboy dies as well. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, it would have been the same thing. I think, like I said, I don't see anything wrong with the story. The execution of the people, just say behind the scenes, and even the majority of the actors, like it was definitely it was not a failure. It was not a bad movie.
It was,
but it was disappointing because for however good that it turned out to be, it could have been a lot better if the casting, starting with the lead man, was different.
Well, wait a minute. Is it disappointing now, or was it disappointing, like 30 years ago when it was released?
Well, I saw it when I was a kid, so I was more interested, I guess, in the sex scene back then.
Right. I'm about to say,
even the sexual assault scene?
Huh?
You mean the sexual assault scene? From what I saw, she started kissing him. He said, "No, I gotta go." He gets up to leave, and she blocks him. That dude got raped.
No.
That dude got raped. All right, that's a rape scene. She did it. 30 years before the entanglements, Jada was raping dudes.
No.
And Hughes Brothers.
He wanted to, but he didn't want to. He didn't want to betray his father figure, and who? Yeah. He was.
But still, man, he got up. He said no. He didn't say yes. He didn't say okay. He didn't consent.
She did like Jimmy Bonds. You get 2 no's and then a yes.
Yeah, that's it. And
I never seen.
Shame he's dead because.
All right. So anything else? Anything else for Menace II Society? Anything else anybody want to point?
My whole point is like you can't be too mad at it for what it was because that was done 30 years ago. And I think for the time, the fact that we're still talking about Menace.
But there were other movies done during that time. Is the point that I'm making? Who executed their good story? That's what I'm saying. There's other hood classics, which this one is what is considered. That because even just like to Lonnie's point about don't be a menace to society, drinking juice in the hood. That whole so the Wayans are known for doing the spoofs or whatever, right? Yeah. But the reason why they hung so deep on the don't be a menace is because it was way more shit to roast in these movies as opposed to like the juice and the whatever because those movies were well more respected for how they executed it. You know what I'm saying? But but when you look at this movie, people liked it because of the story. But I guarantee you, if the casting was a little bit altered, this movie would have hit different, and it would have been on a whole nother level. Once again, I'm not saying it was shitty. I'm not shitting on it. I still got a thumbs up. I just think that it could have been better, and that's why I use the word disappointed because. It could have been better. You know what I'm saying? It's like they won by a game-winning shot when they could have won by 30.
Let me just say that you say that like when I knew about this movie when I was a kid in Puerto Rico, so that's how big it was. And it even made it to Puerto Rican markets and shit. And so I don't know, and I remember watching movies at that time, and that one for some reason stands out than a lot of the other ones. I'm not saying that the other ones are shittier. I'm just saying that one was, as it was pretty big, and
you just didn't have many options in Puerto Rico at the time. That one came out. They made it in '93. That came out in like 2000. Jay was like, "Yo, this new Menace II Society.
This is the shit, man."
No, man, in some circles it was a big movie, dude. And
No, it was a big movie. I'm not, that's what I'm saying. That's why I keep repeating myself. I'm not saying that it was unsuccessful. People consider this movie a classic. But I'm saying, but it does not have the same, it doesn't get talked about the same way as the Fridays, the Juices, the different movies like that because the execution, people who are not filmmakers may not realize what that lack is, but what I'm telling you is it was the execution by the people who were actually on screen, especially the main character, the protagonist.
Okay,
he was trash. I'm just being honest.
I'm gonna say this, and all right. I feel like the '90s movies for Black audiences slightly changed the world's perspective of how they view Black people. So. Well,
like negatively or positively? What do you mean?
I think it had a negative turn on it. Negative.
Not necessarily, because the Wood wasn't like the Wood went back and forth. The Wood went flashbacks from the hood back to their successful adult life. Best Man, they were successful.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't going overseas.
I mean, just for me, I mean, my perspective is that these movies
Soul Food
literally, quite literally, taught a young Jewish kid what was going on in other parts of America. And I would never know that if it weren't for movies like that. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Hey, I'm not knocking them at all. I think they were very much needed with some of the messages that they have. I just feel.
But I don't think they were like trivializing or maybe even like characterizing things like I think they had a serious tone. It wasn't like, even a movie like Friday has real serious undertones and messages, even though it's a comedy setting, and it taught me a lot.
Right.
And I have no connection to things like that, but here I am watching these movies as a young boy, gaining perspective, like we talk about on this podcast a lot, is like access to other people's lives. And here I am 20 something years later, being able to talk with Rudy and DA about things that I've seen on screen, which without these movies, I would never have that connection,
Right. And I think, and DA, to your point, I think it's more of a problem now because people are just kind of tired of seeing just say either the hood or slave movies. But at a certain point of time, these were the first of their kind. There wasn't other movie. There wasn't like the 90s was the golden era for like black film in reference to these type of, like you said, especially the pulling the curtain back. You know what I'm saying? You get to see that LA culture.
Thanks to hip-hop.
Right. The LA culture, you get to see the, soul food, the different things. Like they're just showing you real life black culture. You feel what I'm saying? Now, if you want to create this super successful whatever, well, that doesn't exist everywhere as much as it does for like you can show an old movie in the 1920s or you can show in the 2020s. If it's of a white family, you can show them rich at either point in time. You feel what I'm saying? Right. But that's just not the reality. And I'm not trying to make this a race thing or whatever. I'm just saying, but so when it comes down to trying to show real content, like Lonnie was saying, being that they were first, it was good that they went ahead and put that out there. Now we can transition as now in real life, there are more successful black people, whatever. Now we can kind of show more of that now in the 2020. But then this was that access. Like this was almost like Snow on the Bluff, but just it wasn't trying to look like a real whatever. It just was.
DA, one thing I will say is that it can be problematic that I think it did kind of glamorize the lifestyle a little bit. Like it can make it look a little cool to be a gangster, and it might propagate some like negative stereotypes.
But at the same time, but that's why they have like, okay, boom, me growing up with my parents like this, I grew up like this. And so that's why even with the shootout at the end, like he was all about trying to protect that child. And of course, he may have missed the mark on some things, like I'm going to show him how to shoot this gun, but that's only because in this neighborhood, you need to know how to protect yourself. But he was like, they were showing that he was trying to not necessarily make him be that way. He didn't want to give him the beer when he came out the party,
Right.
So like even in Friday, Craig go get the gun. The Pops come in, put the gun, use these. What I'm saying? Like they plug the messages in there. So I think, in my opinion, to your point, Lonnie, I think that the glamour comes more from the music of hip hop than the movies. Like the cinema, I felt like they always found a way to loop it back around to say like, I know this is what we want to do, but this is the message. Like, catch this, don't do this. But in music, they just go ahead and be like, we're gonna stick them up and take their money.
Like,
but
moral at the end
right,
of the story.
Right. For
not
sure.
only that, Lonnie, but you gotta remember a lot of times the way that these movies were marketed, where it was emphasizing in that negativity. For example, you have a movie like I used to, like, when I was younger, I used to watch Boys in the Hood a lot. I really loved it.
Yeah.
And originally, the way that the filmmakers, I don't remember his name right now.
John Singleton.
John Singleton, exactly. Was he wanted to, like, as part of the campaign was increase the peace. That was the original slogan of the movie. And they wanted to, like, market the movie that way. This is a story that we're telling, and this is happening. but whenever they would market the movie, it would be something much more menacing. Again, like they're and in a way it has benefited the in a way no, and this is just part of the propaganda machinery. You know, the way that the news will take an article or something that happened and twist it a certain way. And I don't think it was any different. While John Singleton's intentions might have been to make a more educational movie, what they were selling.
I mean, Boys in the Hood, just like off
movie.
the top of my head, I'm remembering all of the
like
messages. Like Lawrence Fishburne was really an important character in that movie, especially in the beginning with the cop that like points the gun at the black cop that points the gun at him, and the black cop points the gun at Cuba. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same
it's
black
the same
cop
from when he was younger, when they got robbed.
When he was younger,
right.
Yeah.
But but then Lawrence Fishburne like coming and talking to all of them as they're older, and even having like Doughboy, who's the like he would be the glamorous one, but having him get killed and all that stuff. Like that movie definitely has that message of like, and Menace to Society does have it also. But I think here's my problem is I guess in the hood, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is a white Jew's perspective, but in the hood, they're gonna, at least the people that I know, they have this mentality of like, we're gonna die young anyway. So, in Menace to Society, it kind of like just propagates this thing of like, you're gonna die young, so do what you want.
But see, so you're correct with halfway. So it gives you both. So Old Dog represented that. Like he didn't. That's like that's even in the commentary. He would say, or the narration, he would say like, "Old Dog, he don't give a fuck." Like he was like 17. He wasn't even like grown. You know what I'm saying? But he just didn't give a fuck. So like he didn't care about living or dying, whatever like that. He the only person got a gun at the end, shooting back in the way. As the shootout was happening, whatever. He the only person who happens to live. But but then you have the other side of the person who everybody sees the potential in, who is Kane. They're like, man, listen, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Go do something else, whatever like that. So like they're showing both mindsets. Like I want, I know I need to leave, but like this is all I know. I grew up here, whatever. People kind of scared to be great in life, whatever. But then you got the Old Dog who, like you're saying, we're gonna die. I'm gonna die. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. Like I'm just out here. So
Doughboy.
Right. Exactly. So and I think that the difference with Boys in the Hood is because Ricky, same way, he trying to get out, whether it was football, army, whatever. Like he was trying to get the fuck out of there. You know what I'm saying? He, even though Doughboy gets killed as well, but he's the main person, that you see get killed, the problematic situation or whatever. And I think that these directors and writers choose that because it's almost like a scare tactic to that person who is in that situation. Like, you need to do what you need to do to get out the hood. And if you wait too long, it's never the person who should get killed. It's always the person who, like a lot of times you see about the killers in the hood, like it'd be like, man, he was just a great athlete. He went to church every Sunday, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always the good resume, but they were just, that environment caught them before they could make it out type of situation, as opposed to the people who are in it full throttle. They got bodies who they killing people, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. Even if they die young, they still live a little bit longer, or even some of them, make it out or go to jail or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? So I think the point I'm making is I think these directors and stuff choose these different endings and these different choices to kill those particular people, so that the person who's watching that, who sees that and is saying like, yeah, that could be me if I don't go ahead and get my shit together. Whether you are a high school athlete or somebody else, I just think it's about like, if you got an opportunity to leave, like don't try to, like, if you grow up in the hood, that's your circumstance, fine. But once you get an opportunity to make it out, like, you need to leave ASAP. Go ahead.
It's always more impactful to like see people that in our minds shouldn't, don't deserve to die in such a violent fashion, and what that, I think a lot of times what that message is that, like the violence in the hood doesn't necessarily, it's not a thing that only affects the bad apples. I mean, or the criminal element. I mean, everybody's affected by it because, because like take those kids, 5 kids, right? One of them was a heart, had You had the one with the sensible head, the one with the who's gonna get away, and it always it's not like it's just the bad apple hanging out with other bad apples,
Right.
the psychopath or whatever. Because in any other movie, about 7, 8 of those old dogs, and you really you have a Reservoir Dogs type thing. It's 7 psychopaths hanging out in the same room, but that's not what these movies are about. So I think when characters like that get killed, I'm sorry that if I went in a tangent, but when these characters get killed, it's all the more dramatic, and it shows you that violence in the hood is not something that's contained. It affects everybody.
For sure. All right, let's move it on. We've been on Menace II Society way too long. The Terminator. We can go to The Terminator, directed by James Cameron, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, and a host of others. Terminator, the original, 1984. Let's do our thumbs, and count of 3. All right, 1, 2, and 3. I'm not sure how I feel about this, honestly. I'm gonna go thumbs down. I'm gonna go thumbs down.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, why is that?
Well, it's low key, and the reason why I was conflicted because I gave Menace II Society a thumbs up, but it's almost kind of for the same thing. Not so much the lead character like with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I thought that this movie, I enjoyed the story. You know what I'm saying? I definitely knew that old boy who came back definitely was old boy daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like I connected that before, whatever. But I like that. Like I thought that was a good way to start what do you call it? Like a
saga?
Well, no. But I'm saying like when you make more movies of the same,
franchise.
Like a franchise, right? That's what I'm trying to. So I couldn't think of the word. So like I thought that was a good way to start a franchise, like because that, especially with knowing that no matter how many times you try to kill this Terminator thing, like he finds a way to come back. So whenever he comes back, I can believe however he came back. You know what I'm saying? So it was never the story, whatever like that. I think I was just more taken out of it with, and maybe it was the times. I felt like a lot of the visual effects
they did not hold up.
I think a lot of that took me out because of the fact that like it felt like they were the first to ever try it, and so it turned. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? So like I was able to understand it, but it really, and like the one thing, and this is my last thing, I'll let y'all go. The one thing that really took me out was when Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the mirror. Yes. And like they were switching back and forth from like the robot to him, and I'm just like, are y'all trying to make it not obvious? You know what I'm saying? Like, but so I gave it a thumbs down, probably to be more controversial than anything, but I kind of feel about it the same way I do Menace II Society, honestly. Like, I felt like the story, I'm sold on 100%. The execution, not so much the acting, but the execution fucked me up. You know what I'm saying? It did.
And only thing I would say about this movie is, again, I remember this movie. I love the movie, and just rewatching it, we see the flaws that come with the time it came. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of my biggest problems. Because if you think about it, how many action movies have we seen now that are only 90 minutes? This movie was about 2 hours, and I'm just like, all right, stop walking around. Shoot something.
Right.
And,
Jay, DA cannot handle nuance or like any kind of like
at all. And that's what I'm saying. That did
a single shot telling you a whole
right.
story.
None of that bothered me. Like all that was fine. Like I didn't. It was never. That's what I'm saying. Like it was another movie I really wanted to like, and I enjoyed it. But it was way too much action going on for me to just let go of some of the stuff that they were doing. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just, and once again, I kept in mind 1984, whatever. So I get it. This isn't the 2020s, but it did like to what Lonnie said. It didn't hold up. Is the best way I can describe it.
But one thing I do want to say is that this is James Cameron. So James Cameron did Avatar. He did Titanic. So when this movie came out, this movie was the top of its class. Like
for sure, exactly.
It's like
for
Avatar.
Sure.
Like Avatar
sure.
doesn't also really hold up. But do you guys remember people like dying over the effects of Avatar?
Yeah.
Like, oh
Avatar,
my god!
Yeah.
And now 12 years later, we're like, okay, it's like kind of cool still, but
right,
it's still kind of dated. But when this movie came out, it was groundbreaking. You know,
for
like
sure.
people had never seen this kind of thing before.
For sure.
This movie is one of the most iconic films of all time. You know, I'll be back.
The first one or the second one?
Well, hold on. I'll get to that. So, you know, in this movie, you have probably arguably one of the most famous movie lines of all time. I'll be back. Right?
Totally.
One of the, I guarantee you, if you look on any list of the AFI.
And Lonnie, can you tell me why that became so famous? Because you know what's so crazy? Before you answer, the only Terminator I had ever seen was 2. I had never even seen this original one. So I always thought that line had to stem from something better than that when he said it. Like, it was dope when he said it, but I just thought it would have been more like a, y'all think I'm dead, so I'll be back type of thing. But he just said it like, I'm about to go back and get my car and run through the building.
But,
I just thought,
but that's because he's a cold-blooded motherfucker.
But also, Jay, remember Arnold Schwarzenegger at the time. Arnold Schwarzenegger had never been in a film where he was allowed to speak, right? So Arnold Schwarzenegger, the reason they cast him for, by the way, a little tidbit about this movie. Do you guys know who was supposed to be the Terminator?
No.
The guy who played the sergeant, the cop.
O.J. Simpson.
Who?
O.J. Simpson was supposed to be the Terminator, but the reason they didn't put him down, the reason they didn't cast him is because they couldn't believe him to be a killer.
I could.
That's why they didn't cast him to be the Terminator.
The time.
But so when
hilarious.
You know, you have this actor Arnold Schwarzenegger who is still like has a very thick Austrian accent, and you know I believe he had only done one movie before this, and it was called Hercules in New York. And his accent was so bad that they couldn't use his voice; they had to dub him in it. So
I could imagine
they get him in this role, and now you have him speaking. You know, to play a robot is, you know, you would think you'd have to be kind of like a shitty actor. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger does an amazing job of playing.
Fantastic job, Lonnie.
Playing this robot killer. And just the way that they like set him up with, you know, Kyle Reese saying like, he doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep, he will never stop.
He don't sympathize. He don't. Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
You know, him loading the shotgun in the store, and the guy's like, you can't do that, and he's like, wrong. It's just so many iconic moments in this movie, and then for them to build up to this thing where I'll be back. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just so good. And then Jay, you were talking about the next movie, you know, Terminator 2 is arguably the best sequel of all time. Right now, you've got The Dark Knight.
And I'll say one of the reasons why it's one of the greatest sequels ever is because James Cameron didn't rush and did a cash grab of a movie. What he did is he waited his time. He waited until there was technology available.
Yes.
The T-1000.
Yes.
That had not existed before that. But they waited until he had the backing and the technology existed to make that shit happen. And you know what?
Just to cut you off real quick, Jay.
Go ahead.
You know, you've got this. So here we have James Cameron creating this iconic villain, one of the most iconic villains of all time. And now we're going to drop him into T2 and make him the good guy.
Right.
Yeah. Now,
there's actually two famous lines in here. There's the "I'll be back," and then there's the "Come with me if you want to live."
That's from the second one.
Yeah, no. Come with me if you want to live. That's from the first one too. Fucking
Kyle Reese.
Like a yet naive Sarah Connor.
That's right.
Sarah Connor, like a future.
Good call, DA. I missed that in this one.
Yeah, no.
Like I said, Lonnie, I actually love the movie. I just, feel like rewatching it kind of took me.
How old are you?
It was just a bummer to watch because
Oh.
when you watch it as a kid, you know, you think it's all amazing. But now that I'm older, I'm looking at the visual effects. I'm like, what the hell?
And it's not just, and it's not just
some things as they are, and
it's not just being older. We've just seen better at this point. Like, you know, stuff has changed our viewpoint.
But there are things that you just have to not forgive, but one has to understand. I mean, we're not talking about like, you know, fucking I forgot the movie that I was gonna say. We're not talking about The Wishmaster, okay? Like, in which you see that movie, okay, that's clearly shitty, and it was shitty back then. It just fooled everybody. But, you know, but yeah, of course we're gonna see better because that technology, we still have not seen like everything we can do. We're still figuring it out. But it is because of this comparison that you know, T1 gets to T2 or Terminator gets to Terminator 2. The reason why I chose this movie. Because Terminator 2, as much of a great movie as it is, like I don't enjoy it as much because of the things that it is not anymore. For example, if you watch The Terminator, there's a lot of elements of horror. Like, this was a modern day monster movie, all right?
Yes.
When we were talking about Frankenstein and fucking, you know, and the Wolfman back in the day, like that image, that shitty image that you see of him, like operating on his own eye, like back then, as fake as it might have looked, it still looked creepy as shit, you know?
Yes.
But that wasn't the part that looked fake to me. I don't think it was so much that. Like, it wasn't every single thing that they did, but like, to me, I just think that there were certain things that just were so noticeable. It just took me out of the scene almost, you know, like it, because I can look past things and understand time, but then there's certain things I was just like, what I said earlier, the thought across my mind was, oh, they must have been like the first people to try this back in '84. Like,
yes.
This was, you know, because like, you know, I wasn't even thinking about James Cameron, Titanic, whatever, because Titanic is one of my top favorite movies, but I was thinking about the times. Like, there were certain parts that were so bad with the graphics, it made me think about the times, is what I'm saying. So, and that part when he was digging in his eye, I think they played that well because they didn't really show it. They just kind of showed the stuff drop or whatever and kind of the angle. So I think that some things were done well. I'm not trying to shit on every single graphic that was placed on here, but the parts that took me all the way out, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like, and one thing about this movie is that so much of it wasn't told through like, you know, outstanding visual effects. Like, yeah, you had to, like, you know, probably like, you know, like the whole sequence in the future where everything is fog, but most of everything it came down to like lighting, editing, and
the music. The music is unbelievably good.
And
the soundtrack.
And by the way, not done Marco Beltrami. It was not Marco Beltrami yet. You know, with the fucking iconic, with iconic song. This was all done in synth. Yeah, I got a dude named Doug something. I don't know. I forgot it.
I have a question real fast.
But to me, a lot of it seemed like, and another reason why I love this film is because it seemed very much DIY. You know, it seemed like an expansive do-it-yourself project. It's I don't know. What do you think?
So, DA, what was your question? And then after that, there's one more thing I want to say about this movie.
No, my question can wait before we transition to the next movie. Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing I want to say is, you know, Jay, you kind of touched on this movie. Is that there are a lot of horror elements to this movie. So it's like, you know, this unstoppable foe that no matter what you throw at him, you know, kind of like Jason and all these guys that, like, no matter what you do, you can't kill him. Right. So you've got that. You've got the sci-fi elements, and you've got the action. So this is a lot of movies packed into one, and it does all of them very well. Yeah. You know, this is really it's really a great movie. I mean, you know, we talk about visual effects holding up. there are very, very few movies that take place 40 or 50 years ago that still hold up to this day. As a matter of fact, I really can only think of one, and that's the original Star Wars trilogy. You know, the original Star Wars trilogy, because of the painstaking, like, puppets and miniatures and all that stuff.
2001 Space Odyssey as well.
Yeah, because they use like practical effects, like everything was real, like they're filming the thing. You're seeing an actual object on screen. It's not computer generated. That's why the old Star Wars is actually better than the new ones. You know, the new Star Wars will not hold up 30 years from now, but the old ones will.
It was all cinematography, essentially.
Yes, exactly. But you know, this movie to me, definitely, Rudy, there are parts that make you suspend your disbelief, that you're like, this is a movie. I'm watching a movie right now.
Right.
But the movie that you're watching is just so good. And to have a robot in a movie that's a good robot, like a good, well acted, is a very special thing. You have, you know, you have guys that act like robots, and it's just so shitty. It's so bad. You know, they are a robot. They're robotic in their movements.
I was gonna say something to what you said earlier, Lonnie, when you were talking about when they got to Terminator 2 and they made him the good guy. I think that almost had to happen because of the fact that, like, where Schwarzenegger was in his career in '84 when this came out, you know, like going like prior to anybody seeing it, people watched it with more of like no perception. But I even remember watching it with who he is in my mind right now and thinking to myself, like, dang, this is an interesting choice for them to have Schwarzenegger as the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But looking at it in perspective, which is like, I think people like his character so much that, like, okay, we don't want him to be the Jason or whatever. Like, let's, you know, we can do something, you know, different or whatever like that and still allow him to be him, but you know what I'm saying, whatever like that. So I think that was a wise choice, even just probably off of, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming that the audience's perception probably was like gravitating towards him more than, okay, we can kill him off in somebody else the next movie. Like, no, we need to, you know what I'm saying? Like, people fuck with him.
I'll say this, story-wise, it wouldn't have made sense, like, because as a one movie thing, it would have worked out great. Now, if they would have, you know, John Cameron being who he is, you know, being a storytelling fucking master, he knows that he can't just resurrect this guy back from the dead, because there was nowhere else to go. It's like, for example, right now, like, and I've been saying this for a number of years, but the next Fast and the Furious movie is they're gonna somehow take it to space. I've been saying this for a number of years. But of course, it makes sense. In the last one, they brought out a fucking submarine from the water. So now what are you gonna do now? Of course, you're gonna have to go to space. Now, if they would have made a second film for the story to make sense, like, you weren't able to just, let's just bring Arnold Schwarzenegger back because it's just the same thing. So yeah, it makes sense that, you know, for more in so many other ways that Arnold Schwarzenegger is now the hero, because they already told the story of the maniacal fucking robot, and he's not gonna do that again unless you want to do it like 1,300 times.
I just want to say Arnold Schwarzenegger, when I was growing up, was my favorite actor. I loved him when I was a kid. When I was about 6 or 7, I watched all of his movies. I still love Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's one of my favorite actors.
Late 80s, like he got really popular with Terminator, but then, like, he started doing other films, or he had done other films. But his there was like a period of time in which everything he did was, like, you know, gold.
Total Recall, Running Man, Commando. Yeah.
Fucking,
all those movies.
The kid movie. He made it all the way to Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cop. Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies is called Last Action Hero. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but he basically plays himself.
Yeah.
It's a very good movie. But yeah. Anyway. What was your question, DA?
Yeah, my question was, because my biggest problem was the fact that the graphics didn't hold up, and kind of the movie as well. Not like the story. I thought the story was great, but if you think about older movies in general, like which movies would you say that hold up to today? As far as they still have not the same feeling, because I feel like you guys are saying you guys really like this movie because of the feeling that you guys get, basically. But the overall quality of the movie, like if you think about what's it called Godfather, that's a great fucking movie. It's a good movie regardless of its time.
Yes.
Like you said, Star Wars was a great movie regardless of its time, and the graphics hold up till today. So, but if you go, I'll take it as I'll take it as far as saying Citizen Kane. I don't know if you guys seen Citizen Kane, but when it came out, the shit was amazing.
Yeah, you can't watch it now.
But right now, if you watch it, I promise you're gonna fall asleep 30 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, I get that. I think the movie still holds up, in my opinion. I think the movie holds up just fine. I mean, sure, like
you talking about Citizen Kane, or you talking about Terminator?
Terminator, of course.
Oh,
Citizen Kane. I tried watching it like 2 years ago. Yeah, I was out in 15 minutes. Forget it. All right, it was different storytelling. I don't know. I think it still holds up. You know.
Yeah, like what I said is I think the quality of the movie, the storytelling, the acting, it really makes up for any not holding up of visual effects.
Because ultimately, it's not so much of a visual. I mean, there are visual effects there, but it's not so many that the story's not told well.
And honestly, even just the first act of the world building is so well done that you're like, okay, this is where we are. I'm in this world now. It's like you don't even question it.
I just wish it was like maybe 20 minutes shorter.
Oh.
20 minutes.
I didn't have a problem with the time. I ain't gonna lie, I love the black cop. Like, he was such an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was his character was funny to me. I thought he was a good splash of humor.
In LA in that time is going to be the biggest dick you're going to see in any movie.
Yeah. He was a good comedic relief. Like, anytime he was on screen, like, his just lack of giving a fuck about anybody else's agenda but his own was just hilarious to me. Yeah. Asked for the cigarette, and he still got one. Yeah, like, he was funny. He was funny. All right. Anything else for Terminator? Before we move on to our last film. I think we're good. All right. The Villainess. I apologize in advance for butchering these names. Director is Jung. Last name Byung-Gil. Starring
Beyond Jill.
Go for it. All right. And starring Kim Ben. I'm gonna say last name is O, the letter O and the letter K -BIN. You know, I apologize to you too. And a host of others, of course. So The Villainess. I'm trying to remember what I thought about this one. What kind of thumb I want to give this one.
You don't okay.
Let's do it. All right. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, and 3. All right. We said it. Me and Lonnie against DA. Lonnie, why do you hate this movie?
Because it made me nauseous. I couldn't watch. It was hard to watch. So here's a funny thing about me. I have very, very bad motion sickness, right? Just in general, like it's hard for me to be in a passenger seat of a car. I can't do roller coasters and stuff like that.
Hold on. What is that though? Because that's the same thing for me. Like, if I'm driving, it never happens. If I'm in a passenger seat, I gotta roll the window down, or I'd be sick as fuck. Like, what is that?
The worst. I don't know, dude. It's it's a thing in your ear. It's an inner ear thing, and I don't know, but like, can you do roller coasters, Rudy?
I can do roller coasters.
No, I can't do any of that stuff. Like I can't do like anything that spins or.
I can't do nothing that spins. If I sit in the office chair and spin too much, I get sick. Like if I just spin in a circle, I throw up.
Right. So, but I actually don't get motion sick in the movies that people get motion sick in. So like Cloverfield, I didn't get sick in. Hardcore Henry didn't make me sick. A lot of movies that make a lot of people nauseous don't make me nauseous. This movie, in the first scene, I was like, I can't watch this. Right. Every action scene was so shaky and so like, well, first of all, in the beginning, it's first person. Right. And then, then once they pull out, it's so like all over the place, that Hong Kong style of filmmaking. This movie is
they're Korean. They were Korean.
They are Korean, but the style of action is very Hong Kong with the the long knives and the.
I got you. I just wanted to have clarity for anybody watch. I don't want nobody to think you were just being racist.
I am not an ignorant person. I know that there are different Asian countries. But this is like an old school Jackie Chan movie. The action style was like, him versus 40 people. They all have the long knives and clubs and sticks, and he's just like fucking them all up,
Right.
But this movie is a remake of La Femme Nikita, and there was a Bridget Fonda movie called Point of No Return. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it's basically this exact same movie. So I've seen this movie, variations of this movie before. I like Point of No Return with Bridget Fonda. This movie, it was, I'll be honest, I did not watch the whole thing. I did not get through the whole movie. It just didn't, I don't know. It wasn't great for me. I didn't like it.
I agree. To me, not so much about the motion thing. The opening scene, because once again, when we watch these movies, I don't look at log lines, synopsis, whatever. I just watch. I just cut them on. And I just find out what it's going to be about as it's going. So the opening scene low-key caught my attention only because I remember hearing DA say something about this movie looks fun to watch or whatever. So I thought the whole movie was going to be some like first-person, video game, whatever. Like I didn't, you know what I'm saying? But so then, and even like all the because the DP for this movie was very busy. You know what I'm saying? That cinematography was everywhere, cutting through the different scenes or whatever. I didn't have an issue with it. For me, I definitely came. Was this a movie I came back to? I think I was getting ready to watch it and ended up watching something else. But I think for me as well, like. Generally just didn't like it, but to me, like it felt like they were so like I say it like this, even with the 2 hours that they had, they still tried to jam 15 hours of stuff in the 2 hours. Like it was just like a lot of just here like going back and forth, back. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I don't even think what all was going on even. Like, I think without all that switching back and forth, it would have been even less interesting. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I was not interested. And then I got to keep up with all of these, what day this happened, when did this happen, whatever. It did. And I'm not trying to be funny when I say this or trying to sound ignorant. But there was low-key times I had trouble keeping up with which one was the girl. Because they was looking alike. Like, I didn't know. Like, I'm serious. Like, I was, you know what I'm saying? Like, because then, then we talked about, especially when you also have to like read subtitles or whatever. So like all of that stuff plays into what all you can pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? And so when you have this much going on, like there was just a lot I think that was happening that just was taking me out of my interest in the movie. And I started with a little bit of interest because of your comment about it being fun, the way they started it off. But then, shit was just low-key fake to me. Like, it was almost like a video game because, like, she'll be fighting 2 niggas and killing them and 15 others just waiting on their turn. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why don't y'all just jump this, kill her?
That's the Hong Kong style, Rudy. That's
right. Like, y'all just, like, I mean,
Jackie Chan called it noodle vision. Like, everybody else is eating, waiting for their turn to fight. That's how Jackie Chan used to describe those movies that, like, I'm fighting 40 guys, but only 1 or 2 at a time.
Right. It's just like, and most action scenes kind of give you that, but they'll either make other people be fighting with them, or at least, you know, like you'll just see. But like this one, you could see the person, like you can see his leg in the corner waiting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he's standing right next to her while they fight, and instead of them struggling and him just coming with his knife and saying die, he just waiting. Let me wait till she get back on her balance, and then I'll try. Oh, she killed me too. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, was this like the worst? He showed it here, right? Was this like the worst, you know, shit ever? No. But I think that, you know, I think with all three of these movies, to me, all three of these movies had execution problems, and I think this one had the most problems in the sense of an overall movie. Did it have cool shots? Whatever. I get all that. All that was fancy schmancy. But it wasn't the way that Lonnie said that the acting and stuff was impressive enough in Terminator to override the graphics, whatever. I don't think that this overall movie was just good enough to override any deficiencies that it had.
I couldn't have possibly cared less about what was going on.
I really enjoyed this movie.
But then again, are you really watching the movie for that, Lonnie? Because I find myself like attracted to the visuals, and
so this movie is done. It was directed by a stunt director, which I always love. I love movies that are directed by stunt people.
Yeah.
The action is stylish. Like, it does have its own identity. Right. It does have, like, it's well done, like the action.
Right.
But, for me at this point in my life, like, I need a little bit more than like John Wick really reigns supreme in terms of like tying action into the story. Right. Like Rudy, we had talked before about like a sex scene almost never ties into the plot of a movie. It's almost always just like thrown in there for no reason.
Yes. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but that's what I meant to point out about Terminator. They actually had a sex scene that actually made sense for the story.
Yeah. That had implications for the next 20 movies.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that is so now where I am at now in my, as a 30-year-old instead of a 6-year-old, action also needs to like move the plot. Like, I want to see action that's like makes sense and isn't just like, a dumb sex scene thrown in there to like catch people's eye if they're flipping the channel. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of disagree with you, that not the fact that the action doesn't need substance, but I'm saying the action was I'm saying the action in this movie had like some of it had substance. It was there because if you watch this movie and if you watch animes, this was kind of a live action anime kind of story, if you want to say.
Yeah.
And it had that approach to where it's jumping between time, and the way they were jumping between time, they were showing us everything that led up to this moment, led up to the beginning.
That was the most interesting part of it to me, DA, was that they were like going back and forth.
Right.
But,
And I think that was, when it did the full circle and brought us back to how this all happened and why it all happened, I thought that was brilliant. I actually loved that part. But like I'm saying, we're seeing she wanted to give up on life at the beginning. That's what we see, right? And then we start seeing her she is forced to train. She's not able to make a decision or anything. She's forced to train and stay there, not only because she has a kid, but because they would just kill her. And she didn't want her baby to die. And then as you're going through the movie, everything that they're training her for or that is happening to her, she's already been trained for. So the moment where she was trying to make an escape, they showed the moment before. They showed the past where she actually was in the water, holding her breath for 6 minutes? It's a fucking long time.
I felt like this was the third cult movie we watched in a row.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I feel like this was another cult. Another cult movie.
I actually think this is one of the better cult movies because
compared to the other two for sure.
Because especially because the whole fact that this guy, the whole love interest, the guy fell in love with her by watching her, and then it was set up the whole time, and then it turns out that her husband, who she married, is the one who killed her father, and he wasn't even dead. I was like, you better go get him. You better go kill him and chop off his head.
Lonnie doesn't know that. He didn't see the end of the movie. He has nothing else to contribute to this movie because he didn't watch it. Like, no, I did close my eyes for a solid 10 seconds. I'm not gonna lie. I remember like catching myself. I was like, oh, let me sit up. Like, to finish, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just wasn't.
I would definitely agree that this movie could have been shorter, but I would definitely say that I enjoyed watching the movie for what it was, as it being because this is not a Western style, or if you want to say American style kind of film. Yeah. This is actually what they watch overseas and whatnot. And so the fact that we're watching it and it's that particular anime style, I was very intrigued in how they brought that anime style of storytelling to live action.
Yeah, I don't really watch anime, so maybe that's
me neither. I don't watch.
Like I'll be honest with you, I caught on late for reasons that I'm not gonna go into here. I caught this movie late. I started watching it, and to me it looked.
So you didn't finish it either, is what you're saying?
I haven't finished it either, but to me it looked like the type of movie that I want to know. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, but look, if you want to ask me questions about the devil all the time, you can do that. But
this man got an earpiece in his ear, so he's been listening to it the whole time we've been recording.
I'm thinking he's playing the movie in the background just because it looked cool. He's listening.
He watched it through his screen.
I started watching it earlier, and it really caught my eye. Have you ever seen Running Scared? Anyone seen Running Scared from Paul Walker? What do you think of that movie?
I love that movie. That's such an underrated movie. I love that movie.
Yes, you should actually watch that movie and come back next week and talk about it.
Is that on a streaming service?
Paul Walker.
We're gonna watch Irishman for DA, so he can say that needs to be shorter.
The whole time, the heart pounding, and a lot of ways, the beginning of this movie reminded me of that movie.
But you need to watch the whole thing before you start comparing it, because that's just the beginning. The beginning is different than the entire.
But the way that it was shot, the way that it was filmed, the way that it was, I was really digging that shit.
No, I don't, like I said, the motion and stuff didn't mess with me. I agree. I didn't necessarily have a problem with that. I thought action scenes were good, fight scenes were good. I didn't, whatever. But I just think that once again, the bullshit that this movie had to me just outweighed whatever good that it did have, and I wasn't that impressed. I just wasn't. That's just me.
That's just it.
Well, we had two people who didn't watch it or finish watching.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
I wrap this up.
I told Jay that it was Devil All the Time, and then I completely forgot that you changed the movie. It's my fault.
It's okay.
Did anyone watch that?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Continue.
Continue.
I'm just going to get ready for an uncomfortable fucking ride. All right?
Is there anything else for, excuse me, for the Villainess? Or Menace II Society or Terminator?
If you like him.
No, we're done, bro.
If you like, I say if you want to watch Terminator, don't ruin your childhood. If you want to watch Menace II Society.
The villainess should have been called First They Killed My Father. It should have been called First They Killed My Father. This was the one for that. This was that.
Yeah, this was definitely that. This was definitely that title.
Yeah.
But Rudy, I have to ask you: did you at least like the twist in the stories? In the story? No. Yeah.
Only thing that I liked was the action scene. I thought the action scenes were cool.
So
outside of the people standing around waiting to fight, I thought the look of it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like even the scene Jay was showing not so long ago when they were fighting inside the bus and the camera pulls out and then it shows the bus falling over or whatever. So I'm
Hold on, I actually have to take this.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just kidding. But okay, you were talking last, DA, or somebody who was talking last? I don't remember.
You were talking last, and you were saying how you didn't like the movie, you didn't like the story at all. You just liked the action. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just do it like this. Anything else for Menace II Society, The Villainess, or Terminator? Anybody got anything else before we close out in this month? You got the credits in the background. You made it to the end. Congratulations. Now you just got to actually watch it. All right. So let's play our quick guessing game. The budgets in the box office. Just to let you know, Jay, our residential Jew here, he's pretty potent at this game. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Lon, I just realized you didn't have your scorecards with you today. You didn't give me.
Yeah, I'm at Lauren's house today, so I don't.
Gotcha.
I'm unprepared.
I'm unprepared. Gotcha. All right, so
I get a
but if I had to, I would give the Villainous a 4. Terminator gets a 9, or I would say an 8, and Menace II Society gets a 5.
You can't give a movie a 4 that you never finished.
Okay, I'll give it a 2. How's that?
Because I didn't finish.
Right.
It's not that I didn't finish. I couldn't.
I was giving it a couple extra points, hoping that the parts that I didn't see would add some points to it. But what I saw is a 2, maybe a 1. I'm just kidding. It was all right. It was a 4. It was like production.
No doubt. All right. So so just to let you know, the only one I couldn't find a budget for was The Villainous. I got the box office, but I couldn't find the budget. But all the other ones we got the budget and box office. So let's start with The Villainous, and let's just guess. What do you think the box office number for this was? What did it make?
Was it worldwide or was it just?
So I think the number that I got specifically may have just because it was. I think it had an initial release like in Korea,
Right.
prior to being here. But let me give you the exact.
This is a hard one because I don't really know like Korean what's big in Korea, you know.
And we don't know the budget either. Like what it to kind of base it. So it says it says 8 point. Oh, I'm about to give it away. Well, I almost said. I almost said it now, but yeah. Well, I just said it don't matter. 8.8 million was what it made, but it said U.S. dollars. What I was trying to get at. I'm about to look and see that did it as far as.
No, I'm asking like, was it released or was that number?
That's what I'm saying. I'm about to look right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I accidentally said it. My bad. But the so the 8.8 is worldwide. Because it only made okay. Well, let's do this then. I'll tell you like this. So it made this is what it made worldwide. It made 8.8 worldwide. But what do you think it made domestic here in the United States, and then what do you think it made international everywhere outside of the United States? So we'll do that instead since I accidentally gave up the goodies. So let's start with what do you think it made in the U.S. first?
Like
$200,000.
200,000.
I'm gonna go as far as to say 500.
500,000. Mr. Jimenez.
What movie we're talking about right now?
The Villainous.
The Villainous.
Probably.
And we're saying specifically, what do you think it made in here in the United States, not worldwide? Just out of the 8.8, what do you think it made here in the United States?
Probably like like 900K.
Okay, and what do you think? I'm gonna just go ahead and let y'all guess both. So give me your international number as well. everybody. What do you, so you said your number for domestic, what do you think it made international?
Eight. Well, eight. I said 200,000, so 8.6. Whatever I know it was 8.8. So the rest.
Yeah.
$8 million.
You know what? I'm gonna just go
900,000.
So
I'm
you said
hard to say 7.9.
7.9. Lonnie got roughly 8.6, and then you got 8 million. Jay.
8.
All right. So domestically here in the United States, it made 27,741.
Wow.
Whatever it cost the critics to watch.
Right, and $41. And that was only, I think it only opened in one theater. And then, but internationally, it made 8,709,717. Because technically, it only made 8,737,458. But you know, they rounded up to 8.8. But yeah, so yeah, United States didn't give a fuck when it was in the theaters. I had never even heard of it until you said it, DA. So I don't think they got, but they did their thing, you know, everywhere else. So, anyways, all right, let's go to Menace II Society. What do you think the budget was for Menace II Society?
What year did it come out? 92?
I'll give it to you in a second. Hold on. '93.
1 million.
1 million.
I'm gonna say more than that. I'm gonna say like 2.5, 3, 2.5, 3 million.
So which one you want? 2.5 or 3?
3.
3. All right.
2.5.
2.5. The budget for this movie was $3.5 million.
Unstoppable.
That's why I asked you. I was like, which one you want? Because I need to know like how far close you're gonna be. And then for the box office, what you think it made the box office?
I'll say
$5 million.
5 million.
Yeah.
I'll say 4.
4 million.
I'm gonna say like 12. I'm gonna say like 12.
12. It actually made $27.9 million.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't have any faith in this movie.
Yeah, y'all was disrespectful. Y'all was disrespectful. Okay, and then last but certainly not least, the Terminator. What do you think the budget was for the Terminator?
$15 million.
What'd you
You
say?
said 1.5 or 5.0?
No, 1.5.
1.5?
Yeah.
Go with
20? 20?
I'm gonna say, it was 1984, so I'm gonna say like 10.
Lonnie be on it. So it was 6.4. 6.4 million.
Oh, okay.
Lonnie be really figuring it out in his head. Like 1984, and I'm gonna go with 10. The budget actually surprised me because I was definitely thinking like 2030 in my head. Like with as much as was going on, I was like, I think this movie cost a lot, but I was pretty shocked.
I always thought it was like a relatively low budget movie.
Sure.
Yeah. I
thought it was like the greatest DIY experience, like film ever made.
But also, I mean, $6 million in 1984 would be about what, like 30 million today.
Right. No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's still like a low budget film.
That's not a low budget, bro.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. 6.4 in 1984 probably wasn't that low budget as it would be.
No.
now.
I think they spent quite a bit of money on this.
Right. That was probably considered a lot.
And remember, I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger got paid that much at all.
No,
he probably wasn't making a lot of money.
For sure.
Like T2 was probably like 80 million.
Right.
By that point, they were probably like, okay, we're gonna put a lot of money into this movie.
right, for sure.
They did.
All right, so
they had a fucking orchestra, bro.
What do you think the box office was?
Oh, I'm gonna say like something $60 million.
60 million.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 75.
75.
No, 50.
50.
I wanted to say 50, but I'll choose something else. You said 75, Jay?
No, I said
No.
60.
You said, yeah.
I'm gonna go with 35.
35. Lonnie, you should have kept your first choice. It actually was 78.48 million.
Oh man.
78.4.
Always go with your first guess.
Yeah, man. Yeah. When you said 75, I almost had a hard time keeping a straight face. I was like, damn, this motherfucker is good. It made 78 million. Gets 408,000. How do you pronounce it? 480, 480 million. I mean, thousand, whatever. Anyways, so Jay, man, appreciate you pulling up on this, bro, man. You got something you want to plug, man? This is the opportunity, man. Do you think?
Freaking every Sunday, come and learn some Spanish with me and Rudy Wilson over here.
Gang, gang.
I'm a teacher. He's not gonna learn it, but I'll be there.
But we be there.
¿Cómo se llama? All right.
Instagram.
Of course, you know it. Live on Tinder. Just Tinder with no E at the end. It's just Tinder. All right.
What?
Live on Tinder.
It's just TR. I mean DR instead of DER.
I've been spelling it wrong then the whole time.
Yeah, it's like live on Tinder, like that.
Anybody gonna follow? No, he actually just changed it. He had it with the E for the longest, so.
Oh, okay.
All right. It ain't been that long. Well, dope, man. Yeah, we appreciate you coming though. Seriously, man. Feel free to come back anytime. You already know you the homie, so pull up. Lonnie, you got something for us, man?
Not much, buddy. Just getting back on stage slowly but surely. But you can find me on Instagram, Cox Comedy, COX Comedy.
A comedy full of cocks.
That's right. It's not a meme page about dicks.
That would be funny. Cox Comedy. This is dicks. All right, DA, it's on you.
D_A_Henry. Just follow me there.
So the business call, was it a good news, or did they tell you no thank you, we ain't giving you our money?
No. He said he looked over it. He skimmed through it. He just hasn't had the time to read it. So he's gonna read it today or tomorrow. That's what he said. So
he's treating your movie like Jay and Lonnie did the Villainess. No, I'm just kidding.
Pretty much. But I mean, hey,
I didn't finish. No.
Hey, I mean, he said he's gonna do it. So.
I mean, the fact that he called you is a good thing. You know, it ain't like you called him and then found out he didn't look at it. So that'd have been a different page. So I believe if he called you and said it, I mean, he'll look at it. So
yeah, he's just busy. That's all.
Yeah, no sweat. Well, Redlands, man, we excited for the future of that. RudyComedy.com. I always said, I'm plugging that solely because I pay for it. You know, my Instagram shit is free, so whatever. Go to the website. All my Instagram, YouTube stuff is there. Dumbass Film Studio here every single Thursday. New episodes always going up. We'll have 3 more movies next week and a new guest who's way more attractive than the current one. Thank you guys for watching. We out, bitches.